Hello everyone, welcome to today's live webinar, Tmap
Hello,
Digital
Okan.
Roadshow. This is the first ever stop in Turkey. And today we will be talking about renewed Tmap certification and training series. And I have good news for you. You'll directly hear it from one of the creators of the program. As the host of this event, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Okan Çakmak, Principal Consultant and Founder at Padran Information Technologies. And I've been working in software quality for about 20 years, helping dozens of organizations to achieve better software quality. And in Padran Academy, we are delivering different variety of software quality trainings for agile testing, test process improvement, test automation, and performance testing. And we are about to complete the process to be accredited training provider for Tmap together with ISQI here in Turkey to deliver these great trainings in both Turkish and English. Today, we have two special guests, Rik, Principal Quality Consultant from Sogeti, Netherlands, and Stephan, the CEO of ISQI Group. If you have any questions for our guests throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask them in the side panel. You will see it. And I will try to get back to you during the Q&A session at the end, or at least within the next day or so. And now, please welcome our first guest, one of the creators of the Tmap body of knowledge, international thought leader in software quality, Rik Marselis. I'm also welcoming you for our participants, Rik.
Yeah, thank you very much, Okan. Well, and hello, everybody. Great to see you here in this e-seminar. And thank you, Okan and Padran Academy to host us. And I would like to introduce to you the new Tmap body of knowledge and show you some highlights of what the Tmap body of knowledge is all about, and tell you a bit about the training courses that we, of course, have created and the certification that we do together with ISQI. So, we started renewing Tmap because Tmap actually already exists for more than 25 years. But about 2 years or so ago, we thought we needed a major renewal of Tmap. And one of the reasons was that a lot of companies are now moving towards DevOps, or maybe are already applying DevOps. So that was one of the triggers. So that's why we created this book, Quality for DevOps Teams. And that's what I'm also going to tell you a bit about. But first, why did we want to change something? Well, the IT today brings some challenges. And the first challenge is that the business people don't ask for IT anymore. They don't really need IT because they see IT as something that's just there. So what they want is business value. They want you to deliver something that will support their business and will bring business value to their clients, their customers. And they want quality at speed. Now, people in IT need to deliver this, so the team has some challenges. And one of the challenges is that you have to work together, and everybody together in the team needs to take responsibility for quality. So that's why we talk about quality engineering these days. And QA and testing should not be something separate for a separate person or department. It should be integrated both within the process as within the people involved. And to be able to deliver quality at speed, we focus on organizing high-performing cross-functional teams. And there you often hear the saying, you build it, you run it. So the same team is responsible for creating new and changed IT stuff and for running it and operating it and keeping it supporting the business. And to be able to achieve this quality at speed, you need to automate everything. But I always say automation itself is not the goal. So automate everything as long as it is useful, because that's why you do. So these are the challenges. And how do we implement quality engineering as a part of what we call high-performance IT delivery? High-performance IT delivery is an approach that enables cross-functional teams to continuously improve three things. Improve the products, so that's the IT systems that we are creating, but also improve the processes, so that's the process that's used to create IT and to deliver IT, and improve the people involved. So these three are very important for as a backbone to the whole story. Because in the end, we want to deliver value to the end users. Now, IT has changed quite a lot. And over the years, we've seen IT move from sequential IT, where we have waterfall and V model, to high-performance IT delivery, where we have Scrum and Devops, to hybrid IT delivery, where we have the demand-supply model and the scaled agile framework. And I notice it's a pity you can't read the lowest line on the screen. So maybe I can ask the technical people if you are able to remove the banner with my name so that we can see more of the slide. Anyway, in the center here, you see Scrum and Devops, and that is the focus of Tmap today, although we also have some things about at scale, so that's the hybrid IT delivery. And what we have done is as a model, a mental model about how to deliver business value, we have created the so-called voice model. And the voice model is, it starts with business delivery. So here at the top, you see business delivery. And to deliver to the business, we need to start with defining what kind of value do we want to bring to people. And then if we know the value to bring, then we have the scope of IT delivery, and it starts with objectives. So try to figure out what are the objectives needed to fulfill by IT delivery. And then, of course, you want to know if you are moving towards your objectives. So that is measured by indicators. And measuring indicators mainly is testing. So by testing, you will supply information, and this information is used by the people involved, by the stakeholders, to establish their confidence that the pursued value will be achievable. And at a point in time where people have confidence that the changes in the IT system will bring the business value they pursue, then they will decide to bring the IT system live, and then the customers and end users, they will experience the real value. Now, when they experience the real value, of course, they get new ideas for further improving the business value, and that's why you see this value improvement loop. So, and that's what it's all about. It is about bringing business value. So, the idea of the voice model is to be able to define what business value do we want to have, and ultimately see if we get the pursued business value. And this model works for all IT delivery models that I just described. So if you do DevOps with a Kanban approach, for example, you would go through this loop multiple times per day, delivering small pieces of business value each time. If you would use Scrum, you would go through the loop every 2 weeks, and you deliver a little bit bigger portions of business value. And you might also apply this in, for example, a traditional V model or waterfall approach, where you would go through the loop once a month or even longer period, where you deliver much more business value in one time. And you probably already figured out that it's called the voice model because of the starting letters of value, objectives, indicators, confidence, and experience. Now, these indicators that we need to be measuring, they are related to, like I already explained, the product, the process, and the people. So we have business value related indicators that closely relate to delivery of the IT products and thus of creating business value, but also indicators related to the IT delivery process and related to the people, for example, the team. And finally, we also have a group of indicators called the problem-related indicators. And these are connected with quality overall. And an example of that is mean time to fix the operational failures. So these indicators, and in our book we describe like 1.5 pages of different possible indicators. On the other hand, keep in mind that it's best to only use like a handful of indicators, because you better have a few well-measured and properly followed up indicators than an enormous bunch of indicators. A little bit about DevOps, because I don't know how well you already know this phenomenon. It's reasonably new. And DevOps is often depicted with an infinity symbol, like I'm showing here. And in the symbol are the fundamental DevOps activities. And fundamental activities, for example, are plan, where we think about what we need to achieve. It's about code, which is about changing or creating new IT stuff. And with plan, it's not just making a plan, but it's also thinking about requirements, design, that kind of high-level things. And with code, it's not just about program code, but it can also, for example, be about infrastructure as code or other things that need to be created. They are integrated with the existing IT system, and when the quality is enough, they are deployed to the live environment, where we have the operate activity that is about making sure it keeps running. And in the center, we have the most important activity, that is monitor. Monitoring both on the left side, the development part, it's called development and operations, DevOps. On the left side, it's mainly the development part that needs to be monitored. And on the right side, it may be the operations part, which also needs to be monitored. And this monitoring also plays an important role in this value improvement loop, remember, because you need to pick up the signals that value can be further improved. And that's one of the things where monitor comes in. Now, some of you may have seen pictures like this before, and then you may wonder, I don't see the word testing or quality assurance anywhere in this model. But that is correct, and that is also on purpose, because quality engineering activities are throughout the model. They are not related to just one of the DevOps activities. They should be all around. A little bit about what DevOps is about. And DevOps is based on some principles. And these principles, we have borrowed them from this book, the DevOps Handbook, written by, I'll have to read, Gene Kim, Jess Humble, Patrick Debois, and John Willis. And as you may see, these DevOps principles, they align very well with the Agile Manifesto, which is on purpose, of course. And by the way, a little fun fact, Patrick Debois, one of these authors, also happens to be the person who invented the word DevOps. By the way, when he invented it, he did not have the idea to invent something new and changing for the whole world. He was just organizing a conference for developers and operations people and glued together Dev and Ops. But we are very proud that the same Patrick Debois wrote the foreword in our book. So he acknowledges that our book is a good addition to this DevOps world. And for DevOps, there are quite a number of definitions. So we have looked at various definitions and we've taken this definition where we start with DevOps is a cross-functional systems engineering culture. So DevOps is a culture. It's a way of working together for people. And that culture is built on an agile mindset. So the Agile Manifesto is fully applicable and it can be supported by a Scrum framework. But you can also do DevOps with an Agile mindset and other frameworks or methods like Kanban or maybe the Spotify model or Agile at scale, like in the Scaled Agile framework. And the last thing in the title of our book is teams. DevOps is built around cross-functional teams. That means that everybody in the team together takes responsibility for all tasks that need to be executed and performed. And nobody has the monopoly on a specific task. So it's not that somebody says, I'm the developer here, nobody else touches the code. No, the idea and the culture is together we'll create everything. And if there's someone with a strong operations background who wants to pick up a testing task, it's fully allowed and totally fine. And if the same person finds a problem and wants to fix it, they can fix it as well. Because the main objective is that together the team achieves what needs to be achieved. And hence the name Quality for DevOps Teams, which is all about quality engineering, taking responsibility to deliver the business value at speed. Now you may wonder, how can we do quality engineering? And one of the things is we created so-called QA and testing topics. And we created about 20 of them. I'll show them here. And we grouped them in two groups. We have the organizing topics and the performing topics. And keep them in mind, these two terms, organizing and performing. And the organizing topics do have a multi-team scope. So they are for multiple teams. Take, for example, the first organizing topic, which is quality and test policy. Now, you obviously wouldn't want each and every team in your organization to make their own policy, because a policy is intended to be across teams. So that's the multi-team scope. On the other hand, we have the performing topics, and they are related to the things happening within one team. Now, this whole thing is not totally black and white, because, for example, in the organizing topics, you can see estimating and planning. Now, of course, it would be nice if multiple teams use the same approach to estimating and planning, but the concrete estimate is, of course, within one team. On the other hand, if multiple teams work together on an end-to-end regression test, then there are some performing topics that are with a multi-team scope. But in general, organizing is across teams, performing is within a team. Then a bit about testing, because of course testing still is an important part of quality engineering, and Tmap comes from testing and has broadened to quality engineering, but still testing is important. And therefore, I would like to show you the definition of testing. And it is about a test object, so something we need to test. And for the test object, we do verification, validation, and exploration. And often testing is called verification and validation. With verification, you check whether it is built according to the specifications. And with validation, you check whether it is fit for purpose. But over the years, we have found a third thing is very important, which is exploration. And exploration is about investigating things that maybe nobody had thought of. And let me give you a simple but maybe easy example. So on my desk, I have this old-fashioned calculator. And suppose the specification of the calculator said 1 + 1 is 3. If we do verification and we enter 1 + 1 and the result is 3, then verification is passed. However, we'll also do validation, and any math teacher will tell you that 1 + 1 should not be 3, it should be 2. So obviously there's something wrong in the specification. So if we do validation, we will find that it works wrongly. So that's how verification and validation go. But if you have ever played around with a calculator, you may remember that if you type in a nice number and you turn it upside down, you can read some funny text. Well, I can imagine that nobody has ever made a specification about having funny text with a calculator. That's something you will discover while exploring. And of course, this is a silly small example, but you can imagine that exploration is, for example, very useful in security testing, where you try to find out what else can be done with your system that was not intended. Based on verification, validation, and exploration, you get a lot of information about quality and quality risks. And based on that, people and stakeholders can establish their confidence that we will be able to deliver business value. So that's what testing is all about. Now, in DevOps, you almost need to have a pipeline. In DevOps, everybody talks about CI/CD pipelines, and this is how we depict the CI/CD pipeline from our point of view. And most pipelines you will come across in real life are larger than this. So in the CI/CD pipeline, on the left, you see the CR part. That is the continuous integration part, also called the build pipeline. And that's where all the things happen within reach of one team. And it ends with the so-called team test stage, where the team performs all the tests that are within their reach. And of course, they try to automate as many tests as possible, preferably all tests. If the team is ready, then it gets deployed to the business test stage. And that's where we get business testing. And business testing is not testing by business people, but testing with a business perspective. So from a point of view of the business, you do testing, for example, end-to-end testing, business process testing. And this may be fully automated. It may also be partially manual. And if the tests show that we have enough confidence, then it gets deployed to production. And that's why we call this part CD, continuous deployment, if it is fully automated, the whole deployment process. Otherwise, we would call it continuous delivery, which happens to be CD as well, where we continuously deliver, but the final deployment to production is done manually, just to build in some extra safety if needed. A very important part of a pipeline is the continuous monitoring and continuous feedback, because from every part of or every stage in the pipeline, we can have a loop back if something is not okay. And of course, we have continuous testing, which is mainly automated, but still some manual testing. For example, exploratory testing may still be implemented. Now, a lot of pipeline pictures continue all kinds of logos of tools. Of course, you need tools to build your pipeline, but we say it is very important to first think about capabilities. And capabilities are the things that these tools need to be able to do. Because if you first think, what should my pipeline be able to do? Then you can find the exact right tools for your pipeline, instead of just looking around what tools are hip and cool and just blend those together, because that in reality doesn't bring the best effect. So automation is important. But also you need the team to do the right thing. You want the team to build the right IT, and you want them to build it right first time, so that they don't have to iterate a lot and fix a lot of things. And to be able to do that, we say that you need specification and example approaches. And that means approaches like specification by example, which is one of the specification and example approaches, but also things like acceptance test driven development or behavior driven development. And these are approaches that support common understanding about stories and features within your team and with the stakeholders, but they also promote a so-called test first approach. And the test first approach can be found in the testing quadrants that you see shown on the right side of my slide. And in the testing quadrants, on the left in the red circled area, you see guiding the team. Because the testing quadrants, they show that on the left of this model, and sorry, I don't have time to explain the whole testing quadrants model at the moment. So if you like to know more, just send me some question and I'll be happy to elaborate at another moment. But these testing quadrants on the left, they are about guiding the team to create the right system, and to do that by doing a test first approach. So first build test cases and then build the software to fulfill these automated test cases. But it also helps to explore the ideas of everybody involved. On the right side, by the way, the testing quadrants are about assessing the end result, assessing the product, so testing the product that has been delivered. Now, of course, one of the roles within a cross-functional team is testing, and we describe some test approaches and test techniques. Now, if you have had a look at test design techniques before, then you may know that there are a couple of dozen test design techniques, and you don't need to know all of them. But what we always say is keep in mind every test design technique fits in one of these 4 groups. And it is wise that you know at least 1 or 2 techniques from each of the 4 groups. And later we will discuss the training courses. And of course, in the training courses, you will learn test design techniques from every group. So that's how we cover it. But apart from using test design techniques to design your test cases up front, you can also use experience-based test approaches. And we describe checklists, which are a very good tool. There is error guessing, which was invented more than 40 years ago. And back then they already knew it was unstructured testing, so not structured. So please don't use error guessing. That's why there's a red smiley here. Instead, for example, use exploratory testing, because that's a very good approach. It is structured because you use charters, you use a log form, you use debriefings. However, it is not scripted, as people say. So you don't create all test cases up front, but you have a structured approach to making your quality judgment, because in the end, we want to supply information about quality and risks for the people to establish their confidence. And we always say, combine both. So don't just do test design techniques, don't just do experience-based testing, but always combine it. Then an important thing is we need to supply information. And supplying information is done by monitoring and control, reporting and alerting. And this whole monitoring and control, reporting and alerting is, for example, about the notion that you need several levels of reporting. You need detailed reports with a lot of information, for example, for the team itself. You need overview reports for people like product owners, maybe program managers, whatever. And that's the kind of overview report that you see here. So that's the confidence monitor. And in a confidence monitor, we gather together the information from multiple indicators and convert that to one confidence number. And in the beginning, if you start doing confidence reporting, it may be a little bit of searching. How do we know if we have enough confidence? But quickly it evolves to an overview report that people can really rely on, and it gives them quick insight. Of course, there's other information like other reports and other indicators behind such a confidence monitor. And then we have the high-level reporting, for example, to your IT management, and they often only want to have smiley reports. So just a simple overview that gives them the product status and the process status. Remember, again, we are talking about quality of products, process and people. Well, process and people are here grouped together in the process status. And with just a few smileys, they have quick insight. Of course, they don't know any details, but that can be found in overview reports and detailed reports. And when something is not as expected, of course, there should also be alerts. So it's not just about sending a report and hoping that people read it in time, but if there is reason to take action, there should be an alert, like automated text messaging or flashing lights or whatever alert you can think of. A little bit about the background, quality and test policy, like risk-based testing and also risk-based development. And one thing that you probably know is if you have a high quality risk, you want to have high test intensity, medium, low quality risk, low test intensity. And then the question comes, what do you do if there's no risk? Well, you probably don't do any testing, but we always say no risk also means no development, because no risk means if this fails, nobody has a problem. So they don't need it. So the best thing to do is save your money by not developing it, but also saving from risk, because if you have something that is not needed, but it is built, it still may cause a problem, and you don't want that. So no risk means no testing, but also no development. On the other hand, if you want to make this high test intensity, medium test intensity, or low test intensity, then you can use a test strategy table like I have shown here on the bottom on the right, where you see with some bullets we indicate how much testing will be done, and also other quality measures, because it's about quality engineering. So in the first line you see a functionality with a risk class A, and we implement that by medium static testing, high-level dynamic testing, and high-level other quality measures. And if you wonder what other quality measures, think, for example, of pair programming, where two people sit together to create pieces of code. Another important thing based on your quality and test policy is the total cost of quality, because what you need to balance is the cost of prevention and detection, which is all your quality measures and all your testing. And you need to balance that against the cost of failure, because if something goes wrong, you need to fix it. and maybe there's also some impact that you need to pay for. So therefore, the total cost of quality is an important thing with your quality and test policy. And if you know all information based on your quality engineering efforts, then you again can make this confidence monitor that we saw on the previous slide. Now, what is also important from a perspective of operations is doing quality forecasting. And what I'm now showing is a little bit of a look in the future, because it is about using AI to support your DevOps activity, for example, your operations activity. Because the first thing is you can use descriptive analytics, and that is commonly used, for example, machine learning algorithms to analyze existing data that we have measured with these indicators, and it shows you what has happened, so it gives you insight. The next step would be to have predictive analytics. There, based on all the information from the past, it predicts what could happen in the future. And the next step then will be to have prescriptive analytics, where you use AI to tell what needs to be done to prevent quality problems in the future. And I have seen the first implementations of this kind of prescriptive analytics in real life. And I think it's really promising, although we still have quite a long way to go here. But I thought it's nice to show you one of these new developments. And the good thing is it helps you to solve problems before any user ever experiences a failure. And that's ultimately the goal of quality engineering, to make sure that your end users don't ever see any problem. I'm looking at the time now. I have a few slides on unit testing, but I think I'll only say a few words about them, because otherwise I'll overrun my time. In unit testing, the developers often are very proud to announce they have 100% code coverage. Well, I want to warn you that 100% code coverage in itself doesn't say much. There is multiple ways of having code coverage, and you see the smileys here. Line coverage would mean that the lines of code have been covered. But I show you one line of code here, and in this line of code there are 3 statements. But I could cover only part of it with a test case, and then I have 100% line coverage, so that doesn't say much. Statement coverage is a little bit better. Then you have at least covered every statement, but the best is decision coverage, because then you have every outcome. And you see here an if statement with 2 possible outcomes, so you would need at least 2 test cases to properly test it. And if a developer has made an automated unit test, they also want to know if their test is complete. And that is where you can use mutation testing. Now, mutation testing does not test your test object, it tests your test. So when all the test cases pass and you think your system is okay, then what you can do, and that is done by tools, is change little bits of your code, and then at least one test case should fail, because you changed your code and the test cases were okay, so now one should fail. And if you change the code and none of the test cases fails, then probably your test is not complete and you need to do create a little bit more of testing. Well, I'm not going to describe the whole thing, and we'll go to the next slide, where I would like to introduce to you the Tmap training courses and certification scheme. Tmap training courses were developed by the Society Academy and are available to other training providers like Padram, who we are teaming up today. And the official exams for the Tmap certification scheme are provided by ISQI. And we have 3 training courses. And the first one is Tmap Quality for Cross-Functional Teams. And this training course is aimed at everybody in a cross-functional team. So that's all the various team members and the people around the team, like a product owner, an agile coach, or a scrum master, or whatever you call them. So, and one of the goals is that all people involved have the same basic knowledge of quality engineering and know what kind of quality objectives they are striving for. Then some people in the team or around the team may want to have more knowledge and experience, and therefore we have 2 more in-depth training courses. By the way, this training course is a 3-day training course, and in the last part of the training course, you can take the exam right away. So in a 3-day package, you can have the certification altogether. But you may also decide to take the exam later. That depends on your own preference. Now, if people want to dig in a little deeper, then remember we have the organizing and performing topics I explained about earlier. And the first thing we have here is the Tmap High Performance Quality Engineering, which is for performing people. So it's mainly the people involved in the performing topics that are doing the actual quality engineering tasks within a team, and they learn things about, well, let's say infrastructure as code, which is important for operations people. They learn multiple test design techniques. They learn about test strategy and risk-based reporting, that kind of things. And then the other, you can already imagine, is organizing built-in quality at scale, and that is for organizing people. And here we added at scale to the title because, for example, it is about using the scaled agile framework or other ways of implementing agile at scale to organize quality engineering on a larger scale within your organization. And both the performing and the organizing training course are 3-day training courses, but they have a separate exam of 40 questions, which is a little bit harder, but also a little bit more in depth. And all together is the Tmap certification scheme. And as I said, Tmap has been built on 25 years of experience. It is the body of knowledge for quality engineering in all IT delivery models. Currently, of course, the focus is on Scrum and Devops, but we still have a lot of information also about the V model-based quality engineering. And we are quickly building up quality engineering for Agile at scale with the Scaled Agile framework, for example. So this is the overview of the Tmap body of knowledge. We have the latest book and some previous books. We have a certification scheme, and very important, we have the website of our body of knowledge, www.tmap.net. If you would like to stay up to date about the latest developments about Tmap, together with ISQI, we created a LinkedIn group, the Tmap LinkedIn group. Well, you just look for Tmap in the groups of LinkedIn and you'll find it. But you can also use this link. And that brings me to the end of my part of this presentation. If you would like to know more, feel free to contact me or one of the other authors. And with that, I would like to end and say, well, let's use the Tmap body of knowledge for your quality engineering. Thank you very much. And over to you, Stephan.
Wow, Rik, as always, a pleasure and so interesting to listen to you. What a starting point of our roadshow. So we are planning to have more of this, but it was full of package of information. And I think that we will see after my short overview, we will see here a lot of questions, and we try to answer all of them. So feel free to put them in your comments, in the comments you see here on the presentation. And as we are broadcasting worldwide, I would like to ask you to just add the country where you are currently located in the comments so that we have an overview who is joining and how international this starting point of this product launch is. So thanks again, Rik, for this presentation. And I would like to give you now a quick overview how you can get this training and certification and the exam Rik just mentioned. So myself, I'm Stephan Goericke. I'm the CEO of the ISQI group. ISQI stands for International Software Quality Institute, and I do not know how many people are familiar with this. We are an international exam provider, so we headquartered in Germany. That is where I'm currently located, close to Berlin, starting in 2004. And then we open up companies in the Netherlands, Amsterdam, in London, and also in Boston. We are covering the whole world from these subsidiaries together with my colleagues. And I would first of all also thank you, the whole ISQI back office, working so hard behind the curtain, setting up this roadshow and this show here today. And if you would like to acknowledge this, give them some feedback. They will be very happy about it. ISQI is working as an exam provider, as I said, so we are not running trainings. We are only certifying people together with our networks and our partners. We are working under the ISO standard 9001 and 17024. 17024 means that training is separated from the exam. That means it's independent. So that is important to know regarding the reputation and the benefit of our exams. We are running these exams through different exam channels. I will explain them later on a little bit more. And we are in principle through our channels available 24 hours the whole week. To give you a little bit of facts of and figures, we are running more than 30,000 exams per year. We are having a network of proctors and invigilators of more than 600 people working permanently for us in different languages. So we are running more than 10 languages and truly international. We have a global network of 380 accredited training providers, among them Sojiti for sure, but also Padran Academy coming soon in Turkey, hosting us today. We have, let's say, more than 110 countries covered in 6 continents with all of these products. And as I said, you have different types of exams we can deliver. It's paper-based, it's remote proctored, very important these days that you can do it from your own work desk at home. You do not need to go to a test center, but also, if you like, we are working together with Pearson VUE, the global market leader for these test centers. It's important to understand when we are talking about a certification scheme that we have different roles here. We have, as I said, the training providers. They are taking care for the training. They have to ask for an accreditation. Accreditation is a permission. So we are proving that they are qualified enough, not only from the content and from their material, but also that the trainer is experienced and qualified enough to run the training accordingly to these learning objectives. And then we have a program committee, sometimes also called a board. That is the group of experts. They are taking care for the development of the syllabus, for the development of the exam questions, for the updates, very important, of the syllabus to be up to date all the time, and also taking care about the course structures, the set of rules, the pass rates and everything. That is, again, totally independent from us. I will introduce a little bit later on the example of the Tmap who is serving here in the program committee. So we have the training provider and we have the program committee. And then we have the exam provider who is connecting all of it. We are conducting the exams. We are issuing the certificates if you pass the exam. We are guaranteed the data security on European standards. That's important to know. For sure, the IT security and the quality assurance of the exams. When we are talking about exams, it is important to know that we are always following this role description, that we are not mixing everything together here. I believe this transparency, this independency is a key success factor of the certification schemes we are currently introducing. Certification schemes I mentioned, among Tmap we have a lot of others, so the wide range of software quality assurance. It starts with requirements engineering. It goes over the whole field of software testing. It is not only Tmap, it is for sure the ISTQB certified tester you probably know about, also available worldwide. It's the lead standard for software testers still. We have already also these specialist modules for automotive tester, security tester, and all this field of testing. Then we are going and covering all the Scrum and Agile methods with our qualification and certification programs. We are talking about further on usability, IT project management, software architecture, and development as well. Having this portfolio together, I believe that we are covering each job role or position in a project by a qualification program, following almost always the same examples, trying to guarantee highest quality standards here, and working together with very well experienced training institutions, training providers, not only experienced in training, but also in real projects. And they are sharing their experiences with you in this training. So why you should go certified? I think I stopped now here the presentation, but let's go back to the presentation. Why you should go certified? I think in general, it is good that you have an independent evidence about your skills, both technically and theoretically, that you have also independent evidence showing your practical experiences, your project experiences. And I think it gives you not only a better, let's say, perspective in the job market, but it also creates trust. Trust on the client side, but also trust in the company side, trust on the colleague side, that the people can rely on your expertise and also on your experiences. That's why I think a certificate is always beneficial. It should be for sure following some rules. Our examination schemes, as I mentioned, are following some standards. I called it in the past the high five principle because it describes the principles I see creating here the trustworthiness. It should be ISO compliant. I already mentioned 17024 is the leading standard for qualification of people, guaranteeing independence of training and exam. It should be industry accepted. That means that is really used by the industry, that is really relevant by the industry. And if you look at the numbers, for example, from ISTQB, they reached already worldwide over 1 million of people running this certificate. So that is really relevant, it's really used in the industry. It should be independent from products. So we are not running let's say Cisco, Microsoft, SAP certificates, but we are qualifying their people. So it doesn't matter for whom you are working in now or in the future. These qualifications are independent from products, and it should be, let's say, also improved. That means updated from time to time. So it is not, let's say, lifelong certification. It's a commitment to lifelong learning, and that's why we are trying, together with the industry, together with the training providers and the group of experts, to update our content and the content of the syllabi from time to time, so that you can be sure that you really matching the market needs and the latest tendencies. And I think the new Tmap is a good example. What Sojeti here just launched, that they, let's say, not reinvented, but they refreshed and rewrite the idea of Tmap and bring it now with our support to the market. And I'm very happy that they choose us as a examination provider. When you see here how to take an exam, I already mentioned that we have different ways. I'm pretty sure that you know that we run let's say pre-pandemic and post-pandemic times paper-based exams. So the training provider usually inviting us after the training to come to their place, and an invigilator contracted and supervised and trained by us is running then the exam paper-based. That is that's been before the pandemic 50% of the business. The people wanted to have the paper exam. The whole world changed due to the digitalization. We need to be more flexible and bring, let's say, or matching more the requirements and the needs of our clients. So that's why we contracted 10 years ago Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE is running more than 5,200 test centers in over 175 countries. That means almost everywhere around the corner you can find a Pearson VUE licensed test center. In these test centers, most of our exams are available. You can book your exam there in advance, and then you are registered, and then you go to the test center, make the exam, and the good thing is immediately after you finish it, you get your results, and a couple of days later, you get your certificate from us. Then we have another online solution, because people still want to have the exam immediately after the training, not going to some test centers or whatever. So that's why, but they want to have the results immediately, for example. And that's why we invented the SMEX. SMEX means Smart Examination. That means that we are coming and running the exam on tablets or computer-based on-site, the training provider or the clients. That means that you are doing the exam electronically, and immediately after the exam you got as well the results. And not only but mainly driven to the pandemic is that we are now running a lot of our schemes remote proctored. That means that you can do your exam on your own work desk at home, fulfilling some technical requirements such as a webcam and a stable internet connection, but then you can register yourself on our website and buy your exam, and then you can do your exam wherever you want. And that is the, I think, highest level of flexibility we could offer. That means that you are deciding when, what time, and where you want to make the exam whenever you feel ready. And glad that can announce that Tmap will also be available. The Tmap exam will also be available via this technology and infrastructure. I mentioned already the program committee. We call it, let's say, kind of special interest group. So with the training providers, we are working very close together with them. You see here an overview about some names of the current accredited training providers. As I said, our Turkish host Padran Academy will follow soon. And we are very happy and very proud that Sojeti Academy chose us for their new Tmap certification program as the exam provider. Not exclusive anymore. We are working together with other partners to really cover the whole world and each market to make it available worldwide. And I'm very happy that also in this short time, a lot of other countries or training providers in other countries such as France, Mexico, US, Czech Republic, Austria, UK, and Finland, and much more, shown some interest in adopting this Tmap and introducing this Tmap into their market. And so, as I said, this event today is the starting point of a roadshow. My friend Rik and me, we are running together. We will introduce it wherever we get an invitation. So when you are watching us from other parts in the world, feel free to invite us to come, and then we can also run such an event with you there. So when you see here a special interest group, this is the program committee. If you remember, I explained to you the independency of the different roles here, and this special interest group is the driver, you can say, behind the scene. Although it was initially written by Sojiti. Now they give it into the special interest group and sharing their know-how and their expertise with, you can say, also their competitors in the field in a way. We call it partners. So, and they are taking care. So we have the program owner there, that is these other authors. We have the experts running these in the industry, giving us their feedback from the industry. We have training providers taking care for the training setup and so on. And we have the exam providers not only to coordinate, but taking care for the exam structure and delivery and quality. And all together, they are working in this special interest group as the program committee behind the scene, and they are taking care for the quality of this program. You can find more information about this special interest group on our website. If you go to our website and you search for Tmap SIG team, you will find more information about who is member there and how you potentially could join. Last but not least, I would like to invite you to listen more from Rik Marselis quite soon. So today he just gave you an overview, but he's running a workshop and following my invitation to speak at the A4Q Virtual World Congress coming soon in April. It's starting on April 13, going then till Friday 16. This conference is virtual worldwide with more than 70 international speakers. We are running in different languages. We are running, as I said, a full day program with a lot of content related to software quality assurance. But most important, it is Friday 16, 2 o'clock is the time in English to join the workshop on Tmap by Rik Marselis. The good message is it is for free. So if you want to register, let us know or go to the website a4qworldcongress.com and you can register yourself for this event. So for my part, I think it is enough to explain to you how you can run the exam. I would like to hand over now to our host to moderate the question and answer part. Feel free to ask your questions, and thanks again, Okan, to our host. Wish you huge success in the future as an incoming training provider. And yeah, thanks again, Rik, that you are following our invitation to join this roadshow and looking forward to the next appointments we both have. Thank you very much. And now we are waiting for your questions.
Thank you very much, Rik and Stephan, for great presentation and introducing the renewed Tmap certification and the content. And I'm sure that a lot of people are excited as me. And we are also looking forward to declare our first training series in our website. And we have some great questions I can see, and I will ask our guests. And one question is from Jose. You also can also read it, but I will read it out loud. So he says, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that to implement the topics that you mentioned, you must change the team mentality. Currently, in most of the companies, we still have a separate department for QA. What are your recommendations to change the mentality? Also, talking about quality, how can you avoid that the team only tests the happy path of the functionality? It happens all the time. And it's a question for Rik.
Yeah. Well, Jose, thank you very much for these questions. And I can imagine you have these questions because a lot of people are struggling with them. And of course, if everything in your organization runs fine, then why would we want to change? But often in companies today, they need more speed. Like I said in the beginning of my presentation, we need quality at speed. And that often is the challenge that the involved people stand for. And to be able to achieve quality at speed, you need more collaboration between the people involved so that they don't work in so-called silos within individual departments, but they join their forces together. So I think if you are in such an organization where you need more speed, then a separate QA department will not really help that, because what the great Jerry Weinberg once wrote in his book Perfect Software and Other Illusions About Quality is that you should not implement a so-called fixing phase at the end. A QA department often tells everything that has gone wrong, and then people need to fix that. Now, instead of telling what has gone wrong at the end, try to prevent things from going wrong from the beginning. So implement good quality engineering practices, and that's where the topics help. Now, your second question is about people that only test the happy path, and that is where structured testing comes in. Because these happy path testing people are often doing what I just called on the slide error guessing. So just from the top of their mind, they try something, and often that is the happy path, because that's the most, the first path they think of. But if you implement either a test design technique, for example, in the training course, you will learn path testing, and that helps you to cover each individual path or even combinations of paths. And then you will be able to demonstrate that you actually have covered 100%. So you have good coverage of your paths in your business process. And that is much better than just testing a happy flow. On the other hand, like I said, you also need some experience-based testing. So that's why we promote exploratory testing. And with exploratory testing, you create a charter. And the charter is some sort of a small, I wouldn't want to call it a test plan, but it helps you to start with your experience-based testing, because on the charter there are so-called test ideas. So in the beginning, you first think of what is the kind of things that I would like to see while testing. And then obviously it's not just a happy path. So you put multiple test ideas there to cover everything you want to see. So I hope, Okan, that covers the question of Jose. And it's nice that we could start with a question from Southern America. So it's good to see that we indeed have a full worldwide audience.
Yeah, thank you for the answer, Rik. And I see a few more questions, and I believe we have time to answer those. One of the question comes to me. Where can I find the information about the training and exam on Padran's web page? It's very easy. It's padran.com/tmap. And soon we will publish the date of the trainings for the classes for different groups, and you will be able to see that. We will also publish them on the LinkedIn and other social media channels. And another question for you, Rik, goes, I currently hold the ISTQB foundation level and wonder if it's worth to get Tmap certified or to do anything with Tmap. It seems like there are overlapping areas. What is the difference?
Yeah, well, of course, there is a little bit of overlap, and that's not surprising, because I expected this question actually, because people ask it to me all the time. The first Tmap book that was ever created, one of the authors is Erik van Veenendaal. Well, you may know this name because he is also one of the founders of ISTQB. And so it's not surprising that a lot of the Tmap background and foundations can be found in ISTQB as well. For example, have a look at the glossary, and there you will find several definitions that refer back to Tmap. On the other hand, my opinion is that ISTQB moves quite slowly. So if you may have noticed that ISTQB has introduced their Agile extension only like 4 years ago, I think it is. And they are currently trying to implement a more advanced level Agile training course. And nowhere in ISTQB you can still find anything about DevOps. And we, with Tmap, are now fully compliant with DevOps, because that's what people are trying to implement today or already have implemented today. You see large organizations like Google is implementing DevOps, but also local organizations like in the Netherlands, where I am from. Many organizations are now doing DevOps already or going towards it and using Scrum as a basis for that. And yeah, ISTQB doesn't give that knowledge yet. So if you have ISTQB Foundation, that is very useful and interesting knowledge. And Tmap can be used on top of that to extend your knowledge and your experience much further. Also, what we try to do is, in our body of knowledge, we give you actual tools that help you do your daily job. Because ISTQB, as you may know, is only about exams. And we created Tmap as just a basis of knowledge for our own use. Because I'm also a quality professional. Currently, part of my time, I work for one of the big government organizations in the Netherlands, where I help them assure their quality. So I use our book, and as you can see, the book is quite thick. It's over 400 pages, but we also have it all on tmap.net, our website. And it's just practical knowledge that you can use. And we have Excel templates as an example, and some other tools and templates. So yeah, I think Tmap indeed brings added value if you already hold an ISTQB certificate.
And we have another question. Masti asks for email contact to get more information, to get, I guess, training provider and requirements. How much is the cost? And if it's available in all the countries, and if it's online. So the email to ask for the more questions and to get the details, to get a training provider, Tmap 2020 at isqi.org. And repeating again, Tmap 2020 at isqi.org. So you can ask the more questions to the ISQI team. And
yeah, and the ISQI team will also forward that to other training providers where necessary. And they can also direct people to the local training provider, because we have training providers, like Stephan said, all over the world. Yeah, and by the way, a part of the question was, are trainings also provided online? And the answer is yes.
Yep, as the pandemic is still going on, most of the training will be online for some time. Yeah, great. And I guess, as far as I see, that's it for the question part. And
we have other questions. Peter Miami is asked if it is available in the US, and we are getting the questions from everywhere. Just go to www.isqi.org, as Rik mentioned. This is the web shop. You will see the overview about the training providers there, offering it online around your corner. Among them in Turkey will be quite soon the Padran Academy, but also all the others delivering it online. And also you can book your exam there at the web shop, wherever you want, in a way you like. And if you have some questions, you will find all the email addresses you can contact for more information there. And to answer the questions, is it available in my country? Yes, in principle, as Okan said, due to the pandemic, it is available everywhere, right? So and this is the benefit that we are now digitalized and can delivering not only in each corner but also in different languages. We got just the question if it also in Spanish. Ask our Spanish guys. Also, you can communicate with us in Spanish, and we will answer all the questions there. Rik, the question is coming. Can they get anyway your presentation, or is it not possible to get your presentation? Do they have to join the workshop at the World Congress of E4Q?
No, what I will do is I will share my presentation as a PDF, then the organizing can put on the website.
Yes.
Or they can contact me directly if they like.
I think they should contact and use the email address Okan just mentioned, the Tmap 2020 at isqi.org. And if you send us an email, we will send you then Rik's presentation by request. There you can see the email address again, and then we will send it to you. No problem. Okay, thanks, Okan. These are the questions coming from the other channels.
Yes.
It is difficult to combine everything because they are communicating now via different social media channels, right?
Exactly. I was trying to follow the different channels.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rik and Stephan, for this great event. And I hope we answered all the questions, and then we will follow up with the participants. And thank you very much for joining us. For all the participants from all over the world, from the different channels. And keep safe and follow Tmap. You will have exciting news very soon. And
thank you very much.
Yeah.
See you soon. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.